Good evening, Mr. Governor. Our own Deputy Governor, whose birthday is today, and on behalf of the state media team, I want to say happy birthday to you, sir. Other members of the state ESCO here present, you're welcome to the 19th COVID briefing by the Lagos State government. Of course, we notice.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, gentlemen of the press. And it's been a very tiring day for all of us, but it's okay. It's part of the job. So this is the 18th of our update on COVID-19 and where we are, and all of the things we've been doing. So I'm pleased to make available to you the latest in a series of briefing on COVID-19 pandemic in Lagos State and the decisions made by the state government as part of our deliberate and coordinated response to the evolving situation. As at Friday yesterday, 18 September 2020, Lagos State has tested close to 100,000 tests. We've seen over 18,800 confirmed cases, and over 15,600 have recovered in the community, and we'll have less than 600 in active community, with unfortunately 207 deaths. If you put that in proportion to total confirmed cases, it's just about 1.3, 1.4% that we've confirmed as fatality. It is, however, interesting to note that we have also recorded a dramatic decline in the number of COVID-related deaths in our facility. Our management strategy in Lagos State continues to focus on a combination of admission to COVID-19 care centers for some cases and our home care-based strategy, which we're using to support asymptomatic, mild, and moderate cases. You remember that at our last address, I brought a pack of our home care package for our COVID-19 patients, and that has gone into our presentations. The patients on the home-based care pack, they also have access to receive their packs and also receive what we call a psychosocial support via our call center, which is 08000 Corona. And they also have access to our telemedicine service through Lagos State-owned Econ Telemed. They also have the opportunity to receive visits from our doctors if they do require, and to ensure that they are recovering adequately and on timely. Members of their household are also receiving regular monitoring to ensure that they do not get infected. I'm also pleased to note that we continue to decentralize of our collection at all our 57 collection sample centers, using all our local government and LCDs as collection centers. We've also, like we've accredited 10 private laboratories that are working actively with the 4 public laboratories that we have in the state, which is 14, which is the largest in the country. We are constantly expanding our testing capacity to cope with the impending increase, if we do, especially following the reopening of the international airports. Our status as the home of the busiest international airport in Nigeria, it comes with an added responsibility to ensure that the pandemic situation in Lagos State is not complicated by the additional cases of imported infection. All incoming travelers to Lagos State, they must be certified by the testing to be COVID-19 free before and after their arrival in the state. We encourage all outbound travelers to also do a COVID-19 test at least 72 hours before their departure to avoid any inconvenience at their respective destination. So what we're saying is that one, we're just encouraging people that need to do international travel, that they also need to do the test. Some countries are not asking, but it's just a precautionary thing that will advise outbound travelers to also have, just for them not to embarrass at wherever they are going into. But however, following the opening of the international airspace, the government, working closely with the Presidential Task Force and the Port Authority, have designed modes of monitoring all incoming flights into Lagos. Since the commencement of the flights on the 5th of September, we have recorded over 50 flights, which shows that about a daily of about 6 flights. And we've carried out almost 8,000 tests on the passengers that have come in. Despite this inbound volume of passengers, our positivity rates from the analysis we do on a daily basis is still below 5%. The current guideline as developed by the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 for all air travelers make it necessary for everybody coming in to have a PCR COVID-19 test at least 72 hours before they board their incoming flight into Nigeria. In addition, all travelers must also show evidence of having pre-booked a COVID-19 PCR test in one of our accredited testing labs in Lagos. And they certainly can do that booking, with the website that NCDC has set up. And so what they do is when they come in, they need to do their tests not earlier than day 7 when they arrive in the country. So they'll go on isolation, and from day 7, they will do the tests. And they've done the pre-booking before. The reason why we wait for 7 days is in the event, for whatever reason, in the event that you are incubating the virus, it probably will not show until day 6, day 7. So we believe since we're coming in, you have a certificate, right? And for whatever reason, the certificate misses it, by day 6, 7, 8, it will give us a 90 to 95% assurance if you have the COVID positivity symptoms or not. So that's why we wait until day 7 before they go and attend their test at each of any of our private labs. But they will also go into isolation before they come out. So all persons who wish to test for COVID-19, either out of curiosity or as a requirement for their outbound journey, can do so in any of our private labs, which are being accredited by Lagos State government through our own Lagos State portal. So we're advising people that are going out, like I did mention, so they can go to covid19.lagosstatebiobank.com. That's a website that can help you access the 10 private laboratories that we have, and you can also conduct your test there. Let me also, at this juncture, make it clear that testing in Lagos State will continue to remain free for all persons who fit the case definition of the disease. That is, people who are showing symptoms or who have had confirmed contact with a COVID case. All those kind of cases are still pretty much under our primary health coverage. So they would still have access to receive free COVID tests at any of our 4 public health PCR testing laboratory. The fee-paying test is only for people who want to do testing to fulfill either their own curiosity, or they want a request from their workplace, or they want to embark on a foreign trip. Those are the only ones that need to go into the private lab. I think it's not necessary for me to talk about issues that have been bothering with a lot of the citizens, which is around resumption of schools, and to clear the air for any doubts around school resumption. First is it's not a condolence because we do not have any fatality, but unfortunately this morning, and I'm sure all of you are aware, we had a school collapse at the Excel. It's a private nursery and primary secondary school somewhere in Ejigbo. So that building, from the initial investigation, shows that maybe the proprietor had added 1 or 2 floors onto that existing building, and I'm sure you've seen the picture. Some side of it had collapsed completely, and I've given directive that the entire building should be brought down. So even the part that has not collapsed, we've given instruction that they should bring down the entire building. But our prayers are being heard, because if not, this school will have opened, on Monday. So the further directive that will be given, that I've told fiscal planning, all schools that have 3 floors and above, they should begin to conduct a structural integrity test on them. All schools, government or private, that have 3 floors and above, they should start conducting a structural integrity test on all of these schools. That instruction has gone out this afternoon, and fiscal planning and urban development ministry has been given that instruction, and they will start doing that test for whatever reason, from next week. And so, for avoidance of doubt, it is important for all parents, guardians, and stakeholders to note that there are different resumption dates that have been scheduled out for public and private schools in Lagos State. For public schools, we have adopted what we call a phased protocol for resumption and physical classes as follows. From Monday, September 21, schools will open for only JS3 and SS2 students. For public schools, JS3 and SS2 students only in all public schools from Monday, September 21st. This resumption will allow the JS3 students to adequately prepare and revise to be able to sit for their basic education certificate examination, which is BECE, which is usually organized by Lagos State Examination Board. And that examination is scheduled to start from October 6th to October 12, 2020. So for JS3, they will start revision to sit for their BECE examination, which will start from October 6th, like I said, it's for 1 week, to Monday, October 12th. And the resumption will also afford the present JS2 students, it will also afford them opportunity to effectively revise, and ready for promotion exam into SS3. You remember that SS3 students are not in schools again. They've since finished their WAEC examination. I think the last paper was September 12th. So they are out of school completely. But our JS2 students who need to go to SS3, we just don't want to make it a blanket promotion. So they need to prepare and get ready, so that they can transit into JS3 appropriately. And also, we'll say that the scheduled dates and venue for the examination entrances into our various model schools will also be announced in due course. I think some of those examinations will be coming up in October. And so what it means is that for other arms of our public schools, they will not be resuming yet. They have staggered resumption dates. Some will resume in October, some will resume in November. And the Ministry of Education will be advising as and when JS1, JS2, and SS1 will be resuming. And of course, same with our primary schools. They will be announcing the date for all of those resumptions once we're sure that all the protocols are in place. Also, in the meantime, would yet to resume classes in our public schools are expected to continue to have their lessons on their various distance learning platforms, which are online capability that we've developed, our radio, television, and our WhatsApp, which the ministry have developed huge competencies so that they will continue to receive their learning and their teaching from those platforms while still delaying their physical resumption. So for private schools in Lagos, all private primary and secondary schools are permitted to start resumptions from Monday, 21st of September. But we have actually strongly advised all school owners and managers not only to put in place safety first, but to follow what we have recommended, to come up with phased opening of their schools as well. We have advised the primary schools and owners to seriously consider implementing a staggered resumption for their pupils, classes to have classes either on alternate days or alternate weeks, and to continue to utilize distance learning method as a complement to physical classes, So what do I mean? As we have given out these protocols, we have had extensive engagement with a lot of our private schools and private school managers to either follow what we are planning to do, or have staggered resumption time, or have alternate days schooling for their various purposes. So if you come in on Monday, probably you're not coming on Tuesday, another set will come in on Wednesday, so that they can keep social distancing in a lot of these private primary and secondary schools. And we expect all of them to still comply with our safety protocols, our hygiene guidelines, as instructed by the Office of Education Quality Assurance. The Office of Education Quality Assurance will continue to monitor and evaluate schools' preparedness even as they open, and they'll be going and check what they're doing. For emphasis, if any teacher or head school notices any pupil that is ill, he or she should be isolated, and such pupil should be put in a safe and secured room pending when appropriate health authorities are contacted. It's also important to emphasize that all pre-primary schools are not opening yet. And what do I mean by pre-primary school? Nursery school, daycare, daycare centers, kindergarten classes are not permitted to open for now. So if you have your children that are under 6 or under 5, they're still meant to be at home. None of them, not in our own public or in the private schools, are being permitted to open. So all pre-primary schools in Lagos State must therefore remain at home until further notice to continue to receive their lessons or their training as they're currently doing. So almost immediately as well, henceforth, we're also allowing cinemas and gyms to reopen as soon as, they've complied with the safety protocol. So if they've gotten safety protocols clearance from tomorrow, they can resume. But their resumption, it's only at 33% of their capacity, meaning that it's only 1/3 capacity that you must have at the various cinemas. You must keep minimum of 2 seats in your cinemas. Once you have 1 seat, keep 2 seats, have the third one, and keep 2 seats again, have the third one. That is the agreement we've had with them. I had meetings with their operators, with the industry, and we've agreed that they will be able to keep with that level of compliance. However, next month in October, we will commence our decision regarding the reopening of bars, nightclubs, event center, spas, and other places that are common. Those ones are still not allowed to open yet. For emphasis, I have not permitted for event centers to open. We have not permitted for nightclubs to open. And if they do, our law enforcement officers will still come after them, because we need to have a clear strategy around phased opening. It still has to be phased opening, and we check what the numbers are before we allow or before we give approval for other parts of our social activity to be open. We're also allowing places of worship, especially for our Muslim brothers and sisters. They can now begin to observe their 5-day prayers at their mosque. And we've also allowed for our churches to resume midweek service. So for churches, they can conduct their midweek service, and for our mosque, they can have their 5-day prayer. But it has to be done in strict compliance with the guidelines and protocols they are currently doing with the Sunday and Friday prayers that they have. In strict compliance, the numbers that they need to have, and all of the other safety protocols must continue to be in place. We certainly must not forget that COVID-19 pandemic is still very much with us, and we must therefore strive to prioritize the safety of our children, our teachers, our parents, and the entire society. All of these resumption guidelines and protocols must be strictly adhered to by various stakeholders. The Lagos State government, like the federal government, is committed to continue the maintenance of a fine balance between safety of life and the sustenance of livelihood. We'll continue to make adjustments as required, but the gradual reopening of social, educational, and economic activity must never be taken as an excuse to let down our guards against the pandemic. Many of you will be aware of the situation in some other part of the world, where we're seeing the resurgence of infection and rising possibilities of the kind that we saw when we did a total lockdown. Without mentioning any country, you're all gentlemen of praise, you've seen that there's some part of the world that, they are having spikes. They are at the level of starting another lockdown. We are testing the numbers. We have developed capability, and all of our facilities are still live. But we're watching and we're ensuring that our people remain safe and they comply with the guidelines that we've given out to them. So the only way to avoid that we will not get in that situation is for us to continue to act responsibly, to maintain the required level of hygiene through regular hand washing and the use of hand sanitizers, wearing of face masks in all public places, avoid non-essential public gathering, and maintain the prescribed level of physical distancing at all times. As a government and as our responsibility, we have a responsibility to keep you informed and updated at all times, and various steps we're taking to contain this pandemic. We will also continue to ask for your understanding and cooperation in these challenging times as we provide updates and make adjustments to our guidelines and protocols. This period, of course, requires heightened level of patience, sacrifice, and understanding, especially for our schools, our international travels that we will beginning to see the ease from Monday. I think we cannot overemphasize this. We need to heighten our vigilance. We need to watch ourselves. If for whatever reason you have a sick child, please don't let such a child go to the school. If you notice anybody unwell around you, we all have a responsibility to contact our NCDC or Lagos State various call numbers and ensure that this virus is not out of our country, is not out of our various places yet, and we still need to keep our vigilance and alertness, even as we get into another phase unlocking from next week. As always, we would like to thank all our frontline health workers, our non-medical personnel, our drivers, our cleaners, our attendants, for their unrelenting service in the battle against this COVID-19. We are now in the 7th month. We're going to the 8th month now, and the end is yet to be in sight. And I want to continue to thank you, gentlemen of the press, as well, as you continue to help us disseminate effectively the communication around ensuring that this pandemic will all bring it to a conclusion, in the near future. I want to thank all our various law enforcement agencies, both at the state and federal level, and I want to say that a big thank you to all of you, and I think we're open for questions and clarification at this time. Thank you very much.